Our story begins not with a vast empire, but with small, humble villages nestled along the winding banks of the Yellow River, often called the cradle of Chinese civilization. Here, life was shaped by the rhythms of the river, which provided both nourishment and challenge to those who settled nearby. Around 5000 BC, people living in this region discovered how to farm the rich, yellow loess soil. They began cultivating millet, a hardy grain that could thrive in the unpredictable climate, and later introduced wheat to their fields. These early farmers also raised animals and foraged for wild plants, gradually building a stable food supply that allowed their communities to grow. These early communities were not just farmers, they were also skilled artisans. They crafted pottery for storage and cooking, shaped tools from stone and bone, and eventually learned to work with bronze. Their creativity and innovation laid the foundations for what would become the rich tapestry of Chinese culture. Over generations, these villages grew larger and more organized, forming the first states. This gradual process led to the rise of the legendary Zhou dynasty, followed by the powerful Shang dynasty, both of which ruled from the heartlands along the Yellow River. Early rulers claimed a divine mandate to govern, asserting that their right to rule was granted by the heavens. This powerful idea, the mandate of heaven, would echo through Chinese history, shaping the legitimacy of dynasties for centuries to come. Their power was centered in the vast North China Plain, a region ideal for agriculture, trade, and the movement of armies. The fertile land supported growing populations, while the open plains allowed rulers to project their influence far and wide. To protect their people from invaders and wild animals, these early states built walled cities. These strongholds became centers of administration, culture, and security, from which their influence spread outward to neighboring lands. The Zhou dynasty followed, expanding its territory by granting land to loyal nobles and forming alliances. This system of feudal rule allowed the Zhou to govern a vast area, while also rewarding those who supported the dynasty. This approach pushed Zhou culture further south and east, absorbing other peoples through alliances, intermarriage, and gradual assimilation. Over time, diverse groups became part of a shared Chinese identity. The idea of a central kingdom, or the Middle Kingdom, began to take root. People saw themselves as living at the heart of civilization, surrounded by a world of lesser tribes and distant lands. But as local lords grew stronger and more ambitious, the kingdom fractured into many warring states. Rivalries and shifting alliances led to centuries of conflict and uncertainty. This chaos, known as the Spring and Autumn and Warring States periods, paradoxically sparked immense intellectual and cultural growth. Competing rulers sought wisdom from philosophers, and new schools of thought flourished. Thinkers like Confucius emerged, teaching philosophies of ethics, governance, and harmony that would define China for millennia. Their ideas offered hope and guidance in troubled times. This long period of division, struggle, and innovation set the stage for an unprecedented unification under the Qin dynasty, forever changing the course of Chinese history. Out of the chaos and relentless conflict of the Warring States period, the state of Qin gradually rose to dominance, outmaneuvering and outlasting its rivals. Hardened by decades of brutal warfare, the Qin forged a powerful army, renowned for its discipline and advanced tactics, and established a ruthlessly efficient government that left little room for dissent. Their ambitious ruler, Zhou, was convinced that the only way to end centuries of bloodshed was to conquer all rival states and bring them under his control. By 221 BC, after a series of decisive campaigns, he succeeded, uniting the fractured lands under a single banner for the first time in Chinese history. Zhou declared himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, and swept away the old feudal order that had divided the land for centuries. The vast territory was reorganized into commanderies, each governed by officials appointed for their loyalty and competence, not by birthright. Power now flowed directly from the emperor himself, creating a centralized system that would become the blueprint for future imperial rule in China. To further unify his empire, Qin Shi Huang standardized the written script, weights, measures, and even the width of cart axles, making trade and communication easier across vast distances. He also ordered the construction of an extensive network of roads connecting distant regions like never before. Determined to protect his new realm, he commanded the building of the first Great Wall, a massive barrier to defend against northern nomadic invaders. These monumental projects demanded enormous resources and labor, often enforced through harsh measures and resulting in great suffering for countless workers. Although the Qin dynasty itself was short-lived, collapsing within a generation, its impact on Chinese civilization was profound and far-reaching. The revolutionary concept of a unified China, governed by a single authority, was born during this era and would shape the nation's destiny. This powerful idea of unity would endure, surviving cycles of collapse and rebirth, and continue to inspire generations throughout Chinese history. After the Qin collapsed, the Han dynasty emerged, learning from their predecessors. The Han kept centralized rule but blended it with Confucian ideals, creating stability and prosperity. Emperor Wu launched campaigns against the Xiongnu, securing the northern frontier and opening the Silk Road. Han armies pushed into Central Asia, establishing protectorates and alliances. The Han expanded south and east, conquering new lands and spreading Chinese culture. Colonization and assimilation gradually absorbed local populations. Han settlers brought farming, language, and administration to new territories. Over generations, the southern frontier pushed outward. The Han dynasty defined the core identity and territory of China. After the Han, China fragmented for centuries with rival kingdoms and foreign dynasties in the north. This turmoil ended with the Zhou and then the Tang dynasty, ushering in a golden age. The Tang Empire was vast, its capital Chang'an the world's largest city. The Tang military reconquered the Tarim Basin, extending influence deep into Central Asia. The Tang era was marked by cultural openness. Buddhism flourished, and foreign talent enriched society. This cosmopolitanism was a source of strength, allowing effective rule over a diverse population, but a devastating rebellion shattered Tang power and the empire shrank. Central Asia was lost, and after the Tang collapsed, China fragmented again. This cycle of unification, expansion, and collapse became a recurring theme. Each era of greatness was followed by division. The pattern shaped China's destiny for centuries. After the Tang, the Song dynasty reunited much of China, but was militarily weak. Nomadic empires pressured the Song, and eventually, the Mongols under Genghis Khan swept across Asia. Kublai Khan conquered the southern Song, uniting all of China under the Yuan dynasty. For the first time, China was ruled by foreigners, and its borders expanded dramatically. The Yuan Empire included Mongolia, Tibet, and parts of Siberia. Dadu, modern Beijing, became the capital of a vast multi-ethnic empire. The Mongols maintained their own culture and hierarchy, but the Pax Mongolica secured trade routes. The Silk Road flourished, and contact with the West increased. European travelers like Marco Polo marveled at China's wealth. Though the Yuan lasted less than a century, it reshaped China's territorial identity. Mongol rule ended with rebellion. Zhou Yuanzhang founded the Ming dynasty, restoring Han Chinese rule. The Ming focused on consolidating the heartland and fortifying defenses. Beijing became a fortress city, and the Great Wall was rebuilt on a massive scale. The Ming aimed to prevent another northern invasion. Briefly, the Ming projected power abroad with Zheng He's treasure fleets, reaching as far as Africa. These voyages established tributary ties but were soon halted. The Ming turned inward, prioritizing defense over maritime ambition. They maintained control over core territories but became increasingly isolationist. This focus on the north left them vulnerable to new threats. The stage was set for the rise of the Qing. The Manchus, rising in the northeast, seized Beijing in 1644 and founded the Qing dynasty. The Qing presided over the greatest territorial expansion in Chinese history. They crushed Ming resistance and consolidated the heartland. Brilliant campaigns doubled the empire's size, conquering Mongolia, Xinjiang, and Tibet. The Qing governed frontier regions differently, using local elites and respecting customs. Manchu emperors presented themselves as rulers of a multi-ethnic empire. This flexible approach enabled them to rule over diverse peoples. By the mid-18th century, the Qing had created a colossal empire, defining most of modern China's borders. The Qing did not assimilate all regions but managed them as a patchwork of different systems. Their empire was the largest and most populous in the world. This legacy shaped the map of China today. The Qing Empire peaked in the 18th century but weakened in the 19th. Western powers and Japan forced China to cede territory and open ports. Russia annexed vast lands in the north. The Qing collapsed in 1911, replaced by the Republic of China. The new republic claimed the entire Qing domain, promoting unity among Han, Manchus, Mongols, Muslims, and Tibetans. But central authority was weak, and frontier regions broke away. Mongolia declared independence. Tibet functioned as a de facto state. Civil war and Japanese invasion left China fragmented. In 1949, the Communist Party established the People's Republic, determined to secure the old Qing borders. The PLA reasserted control over Tibet and Xinjiang. Modern China's borders were largely set, inherited from the Qing. China's vast size and unique shape are the result of centuries of dramatic expansion, contraction, and reunification. Over thousands of years, its borders have shifted countless times, reflecting the rise and fall of powerful dynasties and the ambitions of emperors. The story begins with ancient tribes along the fertile Yellow River, where civilization first flourished. It was Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, who unified these warring states, laying the foundation for what we now recognize as China. The Han and Tang dynasties pushed the frontiers west and south, not only expanding territory but also spreading Chinese culture, language, and influence far beyond the heartland. These eras helped define what it meant to be Chinese. Yet history was never linear. Each period of strength and unity was often followed by collapse, civil war, and the loss of vast lands, as dynasties fell and new powers emerged. The Mongol-led Yuan and Manchu-led Qing dynasties were especially crucial, redrawing the map and shaping the borders of modern China in ways that still matter today. The Yuan dynasty brought Tibet into the empire's administrative sphere, while the Qing dynasty doubled the empire's size, incorporating vast new regions and peoples. Regions like Xinjiang, Mongolia, and Tibet became part of a vast multi-ethnic state, each with their own unique histories, cultures, and challenges to integration. Today, the modern Chinese state claims this complex inheritance, leading to ongoing debates and tensions over regions such as Tibet and Xinjiang, where questions of identity and autonomy remain unresolved. These areas are home to vibrant cultures and distinct traditions, making the process of integration and unity both rich and complicated, as China seeks to balance diversity with national identity. Understanding this long and turbulent history is essential for anyone hoping to grasp the complexities of China today, from its politics to its people. The country's immense size and diversity are a living legacy of 5,000 years of change, adaptation, and resilience. China's ever-changing shape stands as a testament to its enduring capacity for comeback, conquest, and reinvention, a story still unfolding in the present day.